On the surface, and if we look at that moment in isolation, I can agree with Jason Kelsey completely. But we have to broaden the lens a little bit here and consider the context as you're girding for this play, where you either get steamrolled or you do the steamrolling. And this is the play that's been so discussed and debated and analyzed. And how do you stop it? And Chris, I think you and I agree completely. This idea of trying to jump over the top is a waste of time. We saw the Chiefs try to jump over the top. You just jump over the top and they cram right through and take your legs out. Jumping over the top isn't going to stop it. The only way you're going to meet that brute force violence that the Eagles inflict on the defense when they shove the pile forward is with brute force violence. So I can't read Jordan Phillips' mind in that moment and discern whether he's thinking this is a free shot to put this guy on his ass and maybe injure him, or I'm in the mindset I have to be in to properly match this play, because I either do it to him or he's going to do it to me. And we're sick of getting pushed around by this thing. We're going to be the ones to prove this is how you stop it. And I'm going to shove as hard as I can. I don't think you can flip that switch off when you just happen to inadvertently be offside at the outset of the play, if you guess the snap count wrong or whatever. So, but for the fact that this play has become notorious and teams are desperate to come up with a way to stop it, and this is one way to maybe stop it, just push harder in reverse. That's where I think Jason Kelsey's out of bounds here. He's ignoring the fact that they've created this urgency to do exactly what Jordan Phillips did.
Yeah, I think, you hit on it, right? Jason Kelsey hit on it. One, it's become a point of machoism with the Eagles, and then, yes, of course, with defenses. And it's not something you can practice, right? You're not going to practice that. So it just gets talked about all week. And they might practice lining up and how they want to do it, but they're not going to do a live rep of doing it. But they're also being revved up all week by their coaches and TV and media and watching it on film going, damn, right? We're going to be the team that stops it, right? Now, I think Jason Kelsey's being way too harsh here. Way too harsh. Like, incredibly too harsh. Trying to take money away from a guy, right? First off, that's kind of a low blow in itself. Second off, Jordan Phillips is 6'6", 345 pounds. Once he takes a step, he's going. And it's a play, as to your explaining, where you have to get really low like he's doing. And once he takes one or two steps, it's over. I mean, he can't stop. He's going to fall over. As you see, show those clips again. He takes one or two steps. He's so low that now he's just falling down. It's too late at that moment. Is he driving his leg? Sure. Has I've ever heard of anybody trying to hurt the guard by doing that ever in the history of football? No, it's never happened ever. So that's where I don't buy that. And I think Jason Kelsey's taken it a little too far and a little too personal here. I know the game was chippy, and I'm sure some things happened there. I don't think this was any intended, I'm trying to hurt somebody here on this moment. It's trying to time the snap count out. There's two other guys on the ground for Buffalo too who are diving low. They're all trying to time it and make a mosh pit of it, and they're big people, and it's one where you have to go low, and you're not going to have any balance because you're shooting low because the Eagles' offensive linemen are shooting at your ankles and knees. So, again, it's a tough play. You don't like to see it, but I don't think Jordan Phillips is doing this with intent to hurt Jurgens or anybody else on the football team. It's more about the play, the stop, the hype around it, and then that he's a giant human being where once he takes one or two steps and gets off the ball that explosive, he ain't stopping in one or two steps. That's just not going to happen.
Well, and again, the Eagles have created the attitude that Jordan Phillips was displaying. They dare you to match us. They're like the old bully that would show up, and
sure.
I don't know if this is where the phrase chip on your shoulder came from, but this is like the old school black and white movies. Hey, I dare you to knock that off my shoulder, and the implication being if you do, I'm going to kick the crap out of you. Well, they finally found somebody that knocked it off their shoulder and also knocked them on their ass. They've brought this mindset to the football field. They can't complain about what happens when that mindset gets used against them. That's the problem here. They're trying to have it both ways. I got no problem with the play. I've come to like it. It's like hearing a catchphrase on a TV show when they line up and do it. And I'm fascinated by what may happen in the future. Will other teams get the centers necessary? Like you said, they've got 3 centers across the board. Not a center and 2 guards, but 3 centers who can get low and do it, and a quarterback that can do it. And how can you come up with a defense to stop it? Well, the Bills are experimenting with it, and they were ready to push back. So don't whine about the fact that they pushed back. You created this by taking full advantage of the rule that allows people to be pushed from behind, period. Yeah. On that note, the 49ers are going to be trying to stop it this weekend. Here's Kyle Shanahan on defending the brotherly shove.
How do you practice defending the tush push play? Obviously, you can't do the physical.
We're going to do like 10 live reps of it today. And see if we have anybody left after it. No, you don't practice it.
How do you prepare to deal with that? It's such a big part of their.
You coach it up, tell them where we want guys and stuff, and not going to spend a lot of time on it, but we're going to talk about it, show it, and do as good as we can.
See, that's the problem. You can't practice it. The Eagles have perfected it in game situations because they do it all the time. It's almost like remember when Peyton Manning didn't do well against a 3-4 defense because he never saw a 3-4 defense? The 3-4 defense is a 3-4 defense all the time. They're able to do their 3-4 thing. Am I remembering that properly?
Yeah.
There was a time where he was completely bedeviled by a 3-4 defense because he never saw a 3-4 defense.
I don't know.
I mean, if you're the defense,
Yeah. I don't know if it was Peyton, but there might have been somebody else. Yeah, I think it was somebody else. I don't know. Remember Peyton being bedeviled by anything. So that's where I'm not sure if I remember that.
Right. But the defense has never faced this. The Eagles don't have to practice it. They get live reps every week. They don't need to practice it. And so here you are, you've never practiced it, you've never seen it in a game, and you got to figure out what you're going to do. And I think that it's the context that makes what Jordan Phillips did understandable. And whatever that wall of large bodies for the 49ers, when you go and that talk about irresistible force meeting immovable object. You think the 49ers aren't going to be ready for this? You think that the Eagles are relishing what they're going to be trying to brotherly shove their way into if they do it against the 49ers? And whether Jordan Phillips meant to do it or not, Cam Jurgens has a little something to think about after getting put on his ass last week.
Yeah, he does. This is, as we talked about, a few minutes ago when we were talking about the Cowboys, the Eagles and the 49ers, it's big mofo versus big mofo on both sides of the ball all game long. And like you said, they're both kind of used to being the bullies. It's rare that either one of these teams gets pushed around. So that's where, and then we know the 49ers, they've been talking and chirping all week. They're not scared of anything, as we've talked about. That's what makes them fun to watch. They run through the wall. Sure, coach, I'm running through the wall. Go ahead. They don't think twice. So, yeah, there's going to be something to it. And I think, with the 49ers, they got an aggressive defensive front already. They got the kind of big people in the middle there that you feel like, maybe they could be one of the teams that slows this up a little bit. They got 2 linebackers that, might be able to be explosive enough to actually dive over the pile over the top of some of their big guys and make it interesting. Also, too, Mike, what do you got to lose in that moment right now with the inevitable? They're going to get 2 or 3 yards on the tush push. So let's try to, time the snap count out. Be a little aggressive. So what if we get a 5-yard penalty? They're about to get 2 or 3 yards on the tush push. So let's see if we can jump the snap count and make it interesting. I think there's a lot of things that come into play here. The big thing is you want to keep Philly out of anything more than 2 yards. When you can keep them out of that, 4th and 2 or 3rd and 2 and make it more than that, then they're unable to do it. And we'll see if the 49ers can accomplish that on Sunday.
Hey, and that's why I've been saying all along that the biggest advantage for the Eagles is it shrinks the sticks. Everybody else has 10 yards. They've got 8, 8.5, 9 yards. Because once you get in that zone, all you got to do is activate the brotherly shove and you get your first down, or you get close to the end zone and you get your touchdown. But the 49ers may give them more of a test than they've ever faced. By the way, multitasking during your last answer. Let me just say one thing.
Right.
the Peyton Manning 3-4 defense thing was real.
It was
that was
real?
an issue.
Yeah.
That was an issue.
Yeah.
So if
was
I'm losing my mind, this is not evidence.
No. What was it, like the Steelers playoff game? Some of those? Is that what they're referring to?
It was mainly a playoff thing, and it's
Right.
Belichick.
Yeah,
I mean, if it's the Patriots,
Right.
Patriots confounded
Yeah.
him with the 3-4 in the postseason.
Less teams were running 3-4 then, and 3-4, gave you more ways to pressure and move fronts around, and it was, not a lot of teams were doing it. It's more of a thing now, but yet, of course, now the game's based at a nickel. Here's another, just like food for thought, unintended consequence of the tush push. It kind of arose a few weeks ago. I think it was the Dallas game. But this is where I think the NFL is going to have to change their rules on spotting or moving the ball on fourth down, right? There was a play a few weeks ago in the Dallas Cowboys game where there was a bad spot on the ball. It should have been like 4th and 3.5. But instead, they spotted the ball wrong and made it 4th and 1. And you can't challenge that, really. You don't win the challenge no matter what, because it doesn't change the down, right? And a fourth down, you don't move the sticks. So it's one that, the spotting of the ball, you lose the challenge, but it's a big thing when you play a team like the Philadelphia Eagles. I hope I'm explaining that right. To keep them out of that situation, I would want to go, wait, it's about to be 4th and 1. Wait, I think his knee was down. It's 4th and 3.5. I want to challenge that, but you lose the challenge when you do stuff like that. That's the problem there. There's nothing to be gained. In fact, I don't even know. So that's where something I think the NFL might have to remedy as they go on.
It's a good point. I mean, if the Eagles, as a practical matter, have shorter sticks than everyone else, and they're getting the ball into that zone where it's just press the tush push, brotherly shove button, and you get your first down, you want to be able to keep it out of that zone.
Exactly.
If you can.
Right.
Not the easiest thing to do, especially if they're having bad spots. Pete makes a good point here about when they get near the goal line, and if you are offside, it's half the distance. It's still the same play.
Yeah.
Are teams now going to be more inclined to deliberately go offside and put Cam Jurgens on his ass, put Jason Kelce on his ass, put everyone across the board, just send them all.
Have people flying over the top.
Just to mess them up.
Right, have
just
people flying over the top.
Yeah. Because what's the downside?
Right.
They've moved the ball that far.
Exactly. The risk-reward is worth it in that department right there. And, that's what I was saying, where I know I took a lot of flack from the Philly fans. I'm just talking football. I'm not trying to make it personal to them. Listen, I'm one that thinks this play should be allowed and allowed as long as you can't change the rule because one team is awesome at it and the rest of football is not, But my point is that, I think you're getting to a team in a time of the year where teams are desperate and you're playing the 49ers who play that way anyways, where they might take some overly aggressive chances to stop that type of play. And that's, of course, going to be taking some chances and diving and putting their bodies in position to where they can hit Jalen Hurts.
And this is the nuance that I think it's important everybody understands here. We're not saying, go do this. We're not saying you should do this. You should take advantage of the free cheap shot when it's 4th and goal from the 2-inch line. All you're giving up is 1 inch of real estate. So go hit Cam Jurgens, go hit Jason Kelce, go jump over the top and take a free shot at Jalen Hurts. We're not saying they should do that. We're saying
that's just the reality
they could
of
do
it.
that.
Yeah, it's the reality of the situation.
And what Jordan Phillips did may have kind of accidentally unlocked, because we all heard the way Greg Williams was talking before that playoff game, Saints 49ers, 2011, early 2012, that ridiculous cartoonish over-the-top stuff. After the Bountygate postseason run, we know that element is still kind of out there. It may not be to the same degree that it was. I think the players feel a greater responsibility to take care of each other than they used to.
Agreed.
Because of the enhanced sensitivity to health and safety. But this play and the way the Eagles do it, here comes the bully. The bullies of Broad Street. Here they are. I dare you to knock this chip off my shoulder. Somebody's going to do it. And they're asking for it. And again, I don't mean it to say someone should do it. We're reacting to what they've created. They've created this old school, we will kick your ass play, and you can't stop us. they can't be surprised if somebody decides to come up with some way to give them a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways here. You can't have a play that is premised upon brute physical violence and get upset when somebody says, you know what? Maybe a way to defend against this play that is founded upon brute physical violence is to use brute physical violence.
Yeah.
And we're not saying anyone should. We're just saying, you're always thinking about how the game's going to evolve and how it's going to change.
Just tactical, right, right.
And really, what are they going to do? I mean, take the point that Jason Kelce was making about Jordan Phillips. What are they going to do if the entire defense leaves a half second early and just flattens the front line of the Philadelphia Eagles? What are they going to do? They're going to call unnecessary roughness on all of them? And even if they do, Chris, even if they would call unnecessary roughness in that spot, it's still half the distance to the goal.
Yeah, down there, you're right.
We're not saying anyone should. We're just being realistic. As they dare defenses to stop them, somebody's going to take them up on it at some point. And what Jordan Phillips did may have been the first step toward defenses taking them up on the brazen invitation to try and stop us.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And as you know, you get towards the end of the year here and you're playing better teams in desperation and playoff football. I think you're going to have teams toy with more ideas to try to figure that out. So we'll see where it goes. But it is definitely one of the good aspects of this game. I mean, between Deebo Samuel and what he's saying and Hassan Reddick and them going back and forth and A.J. Brown telling, the Eagles fans to troll Deebo Samuel on social media and all that stuff. It's great. It really is. I think there's a little bit of a old school personal touch to this game right here that we don't see a whole lot in this day and age in football now with salary cap, free agency, and teams moving all over the place. I feel like this one is personal, and it's been circled on the calendar by both teams all offseason, and we're finally going to get to see it, and it's going to be Clash of the Titans there.
And Chris, that just underscores the point we've just been discussing. The 49ers, of all the teams out there on the Eagles schedule, the 49ers are the most likely to say, we are going to throw everything we can at this brotherly shove and try to shove it up your butt. They're the team most likely to do it. Because, again, because I'm concerned that, somebody's going to find a way to take a 1-minute clip of what we've been discussing and try to drag us forward.
Yeah, that's usually what happens.
We're not saying anyone should. We're just being realistic about what could happen, sparked by Jordan Phillips, offside, and Jason Kelce's arguably hypocritical response to it because they've created the atmosphere that results in the possibility of someone pushing back the way that they push everyone in a very violent, aggressive, brute force way. That's all we're saying. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.